I read this article, and hopefully I've either put a link or the article down below by Ben Child or something like that. Brent Child, but let's just say Ben Child, because he must be, in order to write, The Guardian, they must be kicking themselves, okay? It was really a bad year for critics. Most of the films that they slated turned out to be box office success, taking Venom and Aquaman alone, box office success. Bohemian Rhapsody, box office success. The Great Showman, box office success. And the ratings of the audience totally disagrees with any of the Guardians, so any of the critics. So how does this one critic somehow combat what he probably put down? Well, he comes out and says stuff like, will Matt Reeves save the DCEU? And I'm getting sick. I'm getting sick of hearing that, and I've made a video about it already. If I haven't uploaded it, I will upload it soon. But it's as though, and he's totally dismissive, as you can read. So if you haven't read the article, read it just now. Alright, so pause this video and read it. So pause right now. Right, so you've read it. So what's your initial thoughts? Load of pish, right? What these journalists or so-called critics should put down is the fact that Zack Snyder's ill-fated Batman v Superman, it wasn't ill-fated at all. The fact that the studio had forced this guy to cut the film, and then out comes the ultimate edition, which a lot of people believe, majority of the people believe, that should have been what came out in the cinema. He started the universe that you show, whether you like it or you didn't like it. He actually had a vision for the DCEU and the way to go forward with these heroes that a lot of critics and every so-called person thinks that you can't make a film about because they're overpowered. No, all you need is a story that attacks the heart. Doesn't matter what powers you've got. You can have the powers of Jesus Christ and everything else and still be good, what else? And this is, they should change Ben Affleck. Well, that's more of a reason to have Ben Affleck in the role, to carry on his journey. And was it the Warner Brothers has to prove that it was? He proved that he's a good Batman by being in BVS. But again, these people fail to read about what happened behind the scenes. Yeah, I made videos about why we shouldn't know what's happening behind the scenes, but sadly we live in a world that does. And most of us now know that Justice League was tampered with, Suicide Squad was tampered with, and that's Warner Brothers. It's nothing to do with the actor in the role. And he goes on and saying about the Christopher Nolan trilogy. Well, I like to say Batman Begins really was the only decent Batman film out of all three. That is just my opinion. Okay? The Dark Knight Rises. The Dark Knight was good for Heath Ledger, but it wasn't really a Batman movie. It was everybody else's, because everybody else had a shot. Batcave. Where was the Batcave? Batcave was nowhere there. It was a lit thing underneath the ground. For some reason they didn't want to film a Batcave, and they didn't want him to look smart, so they got all these other people to plan things, to work gadgets, to make gadgets up, build his Batmobile and stuff like that. Fighting alone in these Christopher Nolan movies was so close up you couldn't actually see Batman be Batman. Now don't get me wrong, I've got nothing against the Christopher Nolan trilogy, but I do believe that Christopher, and I agree with Christopher Nolan, this isn't your comic book Batman. This is a version of Batman. This is an Elseworld Batman where no other heroes exist, where the guy ends up living a happy life at the end of the third one. And let's face it, the third one was so pressured for time. A lot of people claim that it was weak. So let's look at now. He had a lot of time making those three movies, right? And then, but when it came to Man of Steel, when it came to BVS, Zack Snyder was getting it from all angles. all angles, pressurised into starting a universe, as passionate as he was, and that was taken away from him. Now, he's going back to Ben Affleck being Batman. He shared Zack's vision's future. He could see that, yes, this was Batman with a that has been twisted. And if these critics who don't know anything because they don't read the comic books, there are many, many stories where Batman loses it mentally, or driven to despair, or going to the dark corners. And the thing is, he comes back out of those dark corners. But sadly, when you talk about only DC hardcore fans, well, it's DC hardcore fans that made this film work, because we get it. We understood the story. Anybody else out there that only, I know you've got to please the world, but maybe it's time that the world realises the truth about these fictional characters. Hence, back to the video I made about fictional characters should be just as important as real characters in the world today. So that is why when we show Batman and Man of Steel and whatnot, or Batman and BVS, that those characters do exist in the books, and this is something that general public should know, and not base it on their own ideas of Batman Lego movie. That isn't Batman. That's taking the mick. That's taking the mick out of Batman since the 1950s. Adam West. I mean, okay. Lo and behold, I've got nothing against that show, right? But for a long time, it did make Batman a joke. Fans have gotten over it now. Batman fans have got over it now. But that's what I mean. The general public should be made well aware that Batman isn't just clean cut. Superman isn't clean cut. And due to your Aquaman or Wonder Woman success, that was because the studio never got involved. So that's my truth. I hope you can send an article to them. Just look at Garden, whatever. So that's my truth. DZ Vigilante out.